everybody. The topic for discussion that we have now is this is a general query that we get from students that having reached CA final, how do we clear both the groups in one attempt and preferably the first attempt? Okay. Now, the general approach of the students here is that let me play safe, let me appear group by group, clear them. Okay. So that the stakes are also low. Now, what you have to understand is your intention is fine to be safe and appear group by group, but what you should also understand is by breaking the groups and appearing, you are actually increasing the risk of yourself not clearing. And why is that? See, it is like this. Okay, you know that when two groups you write and there are chances where you go beyond 50% in one of the groups. Possibility, say you score about 7 or 8 to 10 marks more in a certain group. Now, it is also highly possible that when you write both the groups, and generally in all the 8 papers, there is a chance of some paper becoming difficult or your preparation falling below the mark, or that 3 hours time probably you did not have the best presentation, where you can have a little deficiency. Now, imagine what has happened here is your surplus that you had in the first group is now going to be handy for you to clear the second group. The aggregate problem gets the solution when you write both the groups. The problem of not clearing due to aggregate actually gets exaggerated or pronounced or aggravated when you try to write single groups. So, let's come to the best formula of clearing both the groups. Okay. Now, one thing is, let me emphasize this in no uncertain terms. This is a professional course. Okay. So, if your study is anything less than professional, okay, let me do self-study or let me hear elsewhere and things like that. Some of what I'm trying to say you have to read between the words, because for reasons known to all of us, I cannot denounce one method of study as against the other method of study. But time tested is that when you do a self-study, you really don't know where do you have to emphasize, where do you have to do the smart calculations. That goes on to say that smart study is the only way to clear both the groups in the first attempt or in the single attempt. How do you do the smart study? First of all, complete your classes at least 4 months before the examination. Right? If not 4, if 4 is a luxury, at least 3 months before the examination. Right? And during the classes, what you have to do is don't expand yourself into all possible materials, okay, and stay focused. Stay focused and engage with your faculties to understand what I meant by smart study. Now, why am I not able to talk about smart study in case of all subjects? Is because each subject, okay, all the 8 of them, they have their own calculations to be done as to where you have to lay the emphasis, where you have to do an abstractive study. So engage your faculties, the teachers with whom you are going to study, and understand from them that how you handle each of the subject. Once you do that, then during the 4 months of preparation, turn yourself as to you have already started writing the exam. Okay? Which means involve yourself more and more into past exam questions, okay, and try answer a question paper, preferably a 100 marks question paper, okay, as many times as possible. I'm not saying that keep the focus only to that, but as many times as possible, so that when you go into the exam, see a final exam, that is not the first time you are appearing for a final. You have already simulated that many times. If you concentrate on these 3 things: 1, you completed your class 3 to 4 months before the exam. 2, you spent time engaging with your teachers, lecturers, faculties as to how do I handle each of this subject. Okay, how do I handle each of them? And then 3, You involve yourself with answering the CA exam questions which have been asked in the past. This gives you the best foot forward. Now, do this cost benefit analysis. What happens if you appear for both the groups and you don't clear, right? Compare this with if you had appeared for only one group. There, 50% of your group was already doomed for failure because you did not choose to write it. Now, when you choose to write, your chances of passing because of the aggregate score helping each other. One, two. You do not know which attempt, which paper is going to be long, a little tricky. You have no quest, you have no ways you can predict it, right? And then eventually when the results are released, sometimes group one has a good performance, sometimes group two has a better performance. You will not be able to calculate all these things ahead of time. So if you do both of them together, you get the best of both worlds, of both groups, and your best chance of passing is here. And here, if you do not, you have already covered a lot of miles to clear in the very next attempt. So this is the best approach that a student should take to clear both groups in one.